Greetings all! Today, we will be examining the relatively rare normal-type Pokemon Skitty, the Kitten Pokémon, and its exceptionally rare evolution Delcatty, the Prim Pokémon. Skitty and Delcatty are interesting felines that can make great pets if you are willing to invest the time to take care of them, even if their prowess in battle may not be that great. Skitty are small cats with cream-colored fur adorning their underbelly's tail and face region, forming a partial crescent shape at the top of their face. The rest of their main body is covered with bright pink fur. They have large ears with 3 pointed hair tufts at the tips and purple skin on the inside of the ears. Their tail is quite large compared to the body and is dominated by a bulbous section of pink fur at the end, ending in a trio of extensions near the tip that end with yellow balls of hair. Their legs are incredibly short and impractical for running very fast, limiting their ability to actively pursue others or escape from danger. Their faces are almost always adorned with a cute grin, and their eyes are almost perpetually closed as a result of a genetic defect. Their evolved form, Delcatty, are larger in size with longer legs, and while they still possess cream-colored fur on their bodies, it is extended beyond their face, tail, and underbelly to cover their legs, neck, and back. They retain the large ears of Skitty, with 3 pointed tufts at the tips, but the inside of their ears is now a dark purple color, almost black, and their once pink fur has turned purple in color as well, due to exposure to moonstone radiation, covering the tops of their heads, their tail, which now only has a smaller tuft of purple hair at the tip compared to Skitty, and forms a collar around their neck region with 4 spherical balls of fur extending from the collar, connected by thick strands of fused hair. Their eyes have fully opened in this state, free of the genetic defect once present in their pre-evolved form, and they shine a brilliant black-violet color in the light. The members of the Skitty family are normally nocturnal felines that have little to offer in the way of combat ability as a result of their limited anatomy, hence their preference to hunt at night when there are less predators active, and that's even compared to other cat Pokemon. While they do get access to a number of damaging moves, they are held back because their claws are incredibly small and not well suited for battle, leaving them to have to rely on their physical bodies and tail to deliver the majority of their damaging attacks. Even so, these creatures are not totally ineffective as hunters, as they can dine on small rodent Pokemon, though they still prefer to feed off of berries and similar edible plants in the wild. With that said, there is a reason why they are very rare to come across, as they are often outcompeted by other more capable predators, and are often hunted themselves as their offensive abilities are quite limited, even as adults, and their ability to reach a stage of evolution where they can fight back is limited, as Skitty are normally unable to evolve naturally without being exposed to the radiation emitted from a moonstone. It is believed that this is the case because these creatures were originally domesticated into this state centuries ago, only becoming feral again as their popularity died down somewhat in recent times. Sadly, generations of selective breeding has resulted in them possessing physical traits that are much more conducive to their roles as pets than as combatants, with their tiny claws and abnormal evolution method being prime examples of these detriments. It has not been a total loss for them though, as it has resulted in some interesting but unintentional consequences, as while they can possess cute charm as a base ability, their other abilities are a bit more unique. While they cannot utilize it for direct defense, these creatures can sometimes manifest a unique psychic power in them that can grant them access to Wonder Skin as a hidden ability, but, more importantly, grants these cats their own signature base ability, Normalize. In essence, with this ability active, when these creatures go to use an attack that is not of the normal type, and their brains go to harness the elemental power associated with the move, their brains become unable to focus on generating the correct type of elemental power, and generate every type instead, creating an energy bundle that fuses the energies together and nullifies their elemental attributes. As a result, this converts every single non-normal type move they use into a normal type attack. And while this can make it effectively impossible for them to deal super effective damage against any opponent, an added boost of energy that comes from this process does increase the overall power of the moves affected by this ability by 20%. So, added in with a stab bonus, it can result in their attacks dealing quite a bit more damage than normal. Sadly, from a stat perspective, this does not do them much good, especially in the case of Delcatty, as while it is bad enough that they lose the ability to naturally learn any new moves after evolution, almost all of their base stats are below average for a fully evolved normal type Pokemon, the only exception being their base speed stat. As such, using these cats can be a bit troublesome in battle, but they can still make great pets if you're just looking for a friend to play with. Skitty tend to live in knotholes in trees and hollowed out logs in semi-large groups in the wild in order to keep themselves as safe from attack as possible and use numbers to their advantage, even if it rarely goes their way regardless. Because these creatures are unable to use much more than their own bodies to attack as a result of their extremely tiny claws, they generally will prefer to avoid conflict if at all possible, sharply growling at threats and stiffening the fur on their tails in order to try and scare them away. Sadly, humans and other Pokemon alike tend to find this behavior more cute than threatening, so the ruse rarely works. As a result of this, Skitty will generally avoid others in the wild and can be very hard to train and earn the trust of if obtained initially in a feral state. But their adorable looks and cute behavior nonetheless make them simply irresistible to their fans. Funnily enough, these creatures tend to become easily fascinated by moving objects as part of their primal desire to chase and hunt down prey, and they will gladly chase after anything that moves into their line of sight. Unfortunately, as a consequence of selective breeding, a genetic defect has resulted in their eyelids being almost entirely shut on a constant basis, so their eyesight is very poor. As a result, it is not uncommon to see them being distracted by and chasing after their own bulbous tails and becoming dizzy in the process. Perhaps not surprisingly, their tails actually served as the inspiration behind an item called the Fluffy Tail, that is often used as a toy for them or as a distraction to wild Pokemon to enable their trainer and their Pokemon to flee a battle instantly. As a result of Skitty's need for the radiating energy of a moonstone to evolve, their evolved form, Delcatty, are incredibly rare and are almost never found in the wild, and when they are, they can definitely be a bit of a pain to try and tame. These creatures are incredibly proud and aloof, and refuse to fight under most circumstances, preferring to live a carefree life at their own discretion without any influence from other life forms. In the wild, these beasts never make a permanent nest because they don't feel like they have to, simply moving from place to place, eating, drinking, and sleeping at their own pace, wherever they please, whenever they please. This can make their behavior incredibly hard to predict on a daily basis, and in turn somewhat difficult for novice owners to handle. Even if they are threatened by another life form, these prim cats will not fight, instead choosing to simply walk away and find another place to rest, and only ever becoming vicious if they are tired and have not gotten much sleep recently. Not surprisingly, this behavior translates over into battle as well, and in turn makes it incredibly difficult to train them for battle. This seems to suit most of their fans just fine though, as Delcatty are highly valued and adored by trend-conscious female trainers, often being groomed for competitions over the style and texture of their sublime fur. Delcatty are prone to keeping this appearance up at all times as well, as they will often rest to habitually groom themselves for hours to keep their coat clean and pristine, staying far away from dirty places where they might get filthy. Despite their flaws as combatants, Delcatty can still make good companions if trained properly, and are generally considered to be among the safest of fully evolved cat Pokemon for trainers to have as household pets. Though their combat abilities may leave much to be desired, the members of the Skitty family are adorable creatures that can bring a smile to the face of just about anyone that observes them. Their abnormal powers and moves might make them a bit awkward to handle, but they can still make good friends and definitely pets that even the youngest of children can effectively take care of. If you plan on adding these cats to your collection and are looking for a companion to take care of on a constant basis, then make sure that you form a strong bond with them at a young age. They might not have many of the cruel behavioral traits observed in similar feline Pokemon, but it will still likely be embarrassing if they decide to just ignore your orders as fully evolved adults, and simply lie around on the battlefield or judging stage and groom themselves out of a complete lack of care for what you and the rest of the world wants from them. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always an honor to be able to speak with you all on the subject of Pokemon in a way that brings me great joy and happiness in my work. If you would like to keep tabs on past and future work, click that subscribe button, check out my work on DeviantArt, and don't be shy about following me on Twitter, where you can find pertinent announcements on upcoming work before it is officially posted. Links to both can be found in the video description. If you would like to support my work and help Miguel and I continue to produce more content for you and improve upon our presentation, please visit us at my Patreon page, which you can also find a link to in the video description.
Yeah, no.
With that, I thank you for watching and I wish you well.